Church, we are looking at spiritual formation right now as an important value for us. And we've been looking each week at a spiritual discipline that's been impactful for the greater church for hundreds and hundreds of years. Some of these ancient practices that the church has observed in order to draw closer to Jesus Christ, to be shaped by him, to be more like Jesus himself. Last week, we looked at Lectio Divina. This week, we're looking at Lent. Well, Lent started on Wednesday, but it's a practice that actually goes back hundreds of years to the first followers of Jesus Christ. Some of the first disciples of the disciples wrote down about how they were observing a 40-day fast because they wanted to reflect what was going on with Jesus fasting in the wilderness. And they were saying that that kind of suffering that led to his triumph was something that the church should also experience, 40 days of suffering leading up to Easter, the triumph of Jesus Christ. Now, those early followers of Jesus, they described that suffering as a bright suffering. Yeah, it was a grief, but it was a bright grief, meaning that it's not suffering for the sake of, oh, we must suffer, but instead entering into the reality of suffering for Jesus, knowing that the triumph that has come through the cross and the empty tomb is our reality. It is our story. So with Lent, those first followers began to observe a 40-day fast. In 339 AD, a long time ago, Saint Athanasius, he described in some writings about a 40-day fast that was being observed by Christians all over the world. Well, at the Council of Nicaea, this kind of got formulated into what we probably describe today as Lent, the season of Lent. And we want to encourage you, Pacific, this year to observe Lent. 40 days of fasting from something leading up to Easter, where we celebrate the risen Jesus Christ. And I want to call you and urge you, church, to practice that spiritual discipline for the next 40 days. Perhaps you'll choose to fast from a meal during the day. Perhaps there's a regular practice that you're used to that you could fast from in order to replace that time with pressing in on Jesus Christ. Whether it's a tummy that is rumbling that reminds you to pray, or whether it's a rhythm of your day that you are interrupting and changing in order to focus in on Jesus, I believe that whatever it is that you choose to do for the next 40 days as a fast will be an important time for you and the Spirit of God as the Lord works in your heart to do spiritual formation.